What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome back. It's your boy Hebot, and once again we got to talk about some more controversial bullshit. It's good to see you guys. I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you're blessed. It's an early Saturday morning, about 10 o'clock my time, a.m. to be exact. And thank you to the Lord Father, right, to having us here and giving us another day to see, breathe, and be able to speak and enjoy life, right? And I'm going to title this video, Digital Foundry is Stirring the Pot Once Again, right? And you guys might be like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean, Hebot? What's going on? Well, they did a video or a podcast and then turned a short video part of the podcast a couple days ago in the beginning of the week and put it up. And of course, as per usual, the usual suspects and everybody only heard and only hear what they want to hear, because Digital Foundry loves acting like they're doing the Lord's work when it comes to tech and informing people, right? When the reality is they love to stir the pot because they know how certain communities and certain fan base are. And in this case, we're talking about the Sony fan base, right? They did a video versus why is it that the PS5 has a lot of games that are multi-plat, let's be exact, not exclusives, that are multi-plat, that run or tend to run better than the Xbox Series X on PS5, right? And for a long time, anybody with some common knowledge, we all know that the whole shenanigans is that if a console's the leading platform, right, then that console is the one is the game and that the people developers develop games for, and they usually prioritize that console. And then they'll do the ports of all the other versions, whether it's on the Switch or the Xbox. Okay? This is a commonly known thing. They've done it for years. Now, difference being that when we had this going on, for example, on the 360, developers didn't try to slack out on PS3. No. They tried to do the best they could, but the PS3 was lacking in a lot of memory. And because of the lack of memory, a lot of games ran horribly. They just couldn't get it to work, even though it had certain specs on the unit or on the console hardware that was supposed to be superior than the 360, right? So, we know, and to be honest, that's the only reason why it's good to be the leading platform in selling the most consoles, because then the developers have no choice but to prioritize your console, right? Because the idea is, if more people are buying your console, that means more people are going to get games on that console, right? That's the idea. That's the logic. But the reality is that's not how it works. The reality is that console sales, most of the time, don't mean shit, right? That's why, for example, the Wii sold 120 million units and it still failed. It was taken out the market because of the fact that there was not enough attach ratio to the game sales compared to the console, because it was a casual console. It was $200. They had the Wii Sports. We had grandmas that were 85 years old playing the Wii in senior citizen homes to keep them active, to keep them having fun, and things of that nature. You guys get the idea. So that's why it did well, right? And because it was the new thing, it was gimmicky, and these new ideas that people were interested in and curious. And that obviously continued forward in the industry, where Sony did the PlayStation Move and Xbox did the Kinect, which turned out to be the highest selling peripheral of all time, because they were executing it in a more unique and technological way for that time, right? And what it was supposed to do, which then they adapted to the Xbox One and made it one unified experience and much more advanced, which people didn't embrace, and because of it, we missed out and lost on a lot of unique things that were great that the Kinect was doing with the Xbox One, right? Like, being able to scan your cards, being able to turn it on and off, swipe through through tiles on the console, on the actual dashboard. We're just giving it commands, turning it on and off, just by saying turn on, turn off. You guys get the point. Now, Digital Foundry, as per usual, they love to make it seem like they playing the stupid role, like trying to be slick. And they themselves put their own shoe in their own mouth, because they said, yes, that multi-platforms, because of certain API speed on the PS5 and certain other things on the hardware, side of it, not to get too complex, and you guys might not understand, because it's so much more akin to a PS4 architecture. That's why a lot of the games are cross-platform on PlayStation. That the hardware is almost like a PS4 Pro, so to speak, if that makes any sense. It's a little bit more upgraded than a PS4, but not exactly, right? And again, not to say that the hardware is not capable or that it's not good hardware. No. In comparison, again, to an Xbox Series X. And in an S, for that matter, right? Because the whole narrative has been that the S has been holding gaming back. And we've said clear as day, no, because the S has technology that is actually next gen, and all they do is can scale it up and down with ease with the S, because the S has the technology that is future-proof at this point and at this time, just like the Series X. Now the PS5, we all know, doesn't have real RDNA 2. The PS5, as we know, and not from us, not me saying it, that Sony themselves had said this and gave out the information and informed. We all know doesn't have things like Dolby Vision HDR, or it's not compatible with DirectX 12 Ultimate. It's also not compatible with Dolby Atmos Surround, right? Things like this, or VRS 2.0, right? Or their variable refresh rate, their VRR, is not that great. It was a firmware implementation as opposed to being built on the hardware. And listen to me carefully. All you that I know are going to come later into this video and try to talk dog dookie, because you guys think that everything that's being said or presented in a video every time when it comes to what's going on between Xbox and PlayStation is throwing shade, and you don't want to educate yourself. Okay? The Xbox Series X is a more capable hardware because it was future-proof with future hardware technology that is going to last longer for this generation. Okay? That's just the fact. It's not something that's made up. It's a fact. It's what it is. So, to get to the point, Digital Foundry does the video and admits and even says that because of the fact that the PS5 hardware is more akin to a PS4, that it runs games that are multi-plat much better because it's easier for developers when it comes to older cross-generational games. And they made that specifically said in the video, which everybody seemed to ignore and not try to bring up when they're saying, oh, so the PS5 more capable than the Xbox Series X. Okay? When that's not the case. The case is, it was explained that because of that, and because of the hardware not being so future-proof, right, for lack of a better term, multi-plats are, and because of the fact that they also, prioritize, because it's the leading platform, developers take the time out to make the game, and it so happens in a lot of cases runs better on PS5. But also, they fail to mention that most of the time, when they do some type of patch, it'll end up running better on the Xbox Series X anyway, right? Which they fail to mention. And so do everybody else doing these videos. Oh, PlayStation is more powerful. Even though the Xbox Series X is supposed to be less or more powerful, and the PlayStation outperforming it, right? That's something else they failed to bring up. Just like when you saw Alex Battaglia talking, he also mentioned specifically that they also heard through the grapevine that developers do not pour in enough time as the way they do with the PlayStation version, with the Xbox version of games. Which we've been saying this, I've been saying this forever. They just don't care. Especially if it's a Japanese developer. Like the From Software developer. Right? With the Demon Souls or Dark Souls. They barely even do stuff correct for the PlayStation. But with the VRR, something like Elden Rings runs much better on the Series X. Because it's built with future technology. Like I said, properly. Within the hardware. Not firmware updated. Which is a big defector. Then they come, but as they were talking, Alex and, John, mumbling, kind of like trying to Xbox better in this area. They kind of did that. They completely proved and completely cemented that every game that's running on UE Engine 5 or anything that's future or new technology as far as the engine, that it will run, that it's been running better on the Series X and will continue to run better on the Series X because it's built with the future-proof technology, like VRS or FSR rather, right? Or like the variable VRR, variable refresh rate, or like Dolby Atmos surround or Dolby Vision HDR, or that it's real RDNA 2, or that it's actually has more memory and it has more teraflops and it actually is, Unreal Engine 12 Ultimate ready. Like, it's capable. So that's why you're seeing, like you saw yesterday when it was released, that the first Descendant game is running better frame rate and resolution wise on Series X and even on the S. Because the S, unlike, whether you want to believe it or not, has the capability of RDNA 2. It is Unreal Engine, DirectX 12 Ultimate compatible. It can run Dolby Vision HDR. It can support Dolby Vision or Dolby Atmos surround. It can do VRR. It can also support, right? The FSR 2.0, right? Which is supposed to alleviate the GPU and the CPU when they're doing heavy commands for better, NPCs, animations, texture quality, and things of that nature, right? And I know that's all tech talk, so, I'm just trying to break it down as best as I can. And the reason for it is because of that, because the hardwares have that implemented in the hardware itself. That is why. The only real difference between the S and the X is the X is more teraflops, the X has more memory, and the X has a disk drive, which they also changed that and gave you an option with the X as well without one. Other than that, the S is almost like an X, but just without those things, right? That's why you're seeing the disparity, but yet they're so close in performance with certain other things in certain other areas. So the nonsense and the stupidity has to stop. Digital Foundry confronted themselves, even though they did it mumbling through their teeth, like they always do, right? And yet everybody's trying to run with the idea and the story or the bullshit crap. It's bullshit that the Series X is not better than the PS5 because more games run better, when they clearly said older games that were designed to run on, older engines, because the PS5 is much faster as far as the API and other things within the hardware. It can run those older games much more sufficient and quicker. And with the Xbox, it takes a little bit more groundwork, right? Meaning you could do it, but it's going to take a little bit more work because the console it was built to run more advanced, newer engines, like the UE5, right? Not Unity, for example. It could be done, but you need to put the time and effort. And they also confirmed, that developer said, like I said again, I'll repeat myself again, that we heard through the fucking grapevine, through the industry, that developers just not putting the same time and amount of effort on the Xbox version versus the PS5 because it's the leading platform, which is bullshit, because at the end of the day, we still pay as Xbox consumers the same price for a game. Like let's say an example, buying Star Wars Outlaws. It's $70 for us, $70 for them. Unless that Outlaws was on Game Pass, that's the only difference. But it's not. So if we want to play it and buy it that same day, we got to pay the same amount of money. So if I'm paying $70 and a PlayStation fan is paying $70 for the PlayStation 5, there's no way in hell that it should be that the PlayStation 5 is better but not the Xbox due to leading platform. Because it's still supposed to be parity. Because at the end of the day, it's the same price. Now, if the Xbox version was $50 versus their $70, then that's different. Because then they're trying to compensate for the disparity and being fair to us as consumers, right? And even them cementing and absolutely cementing and proving 100% that the Series X will continue to perform at a higher performance, especially with next generation games, people still trying to downplay it. Why do you think that the ramblings are still out there that Sony is doing a PlayStation 4 Pro or 5 Pro? Because I still do not believe it, because it wasn't confirmed by Sony yet at any point. This has never been confirmed. But if they're making it, which is a big probability, now that we know the situation as far as the specs disparity and being future-proof to continue to have a longer shelf-lasting life for the rest of this generation, it makes perfect sense why Sony would have to do a Pro. Because now that they made money with their sales for the console, they'll put whatever money they gathered from those consoles they released first to put R&D work into updating the hardware that was already there with actual next-gen, capabilities, like having real Dolby Vision support for HDR, or real Dolby Atmos surround, or real FSR2 capabilities, or that it's RDNA 2, or that it supports VRR refresh built in the hardware, right? Or that it can support Unreal, DirectX Ultimate Ultra, right? Or that it can also, have real RDNA 2 or with more teraflops. If they're doing these updates, it makes sense so that the PS5 can last longer the rest of the generation without having that much of a disparity with the Xbox Series X. You see what I'm saying? And I wouldn't be surprised if they even try to do it a little more higher specs than the Series X, just so that they could try to, get the bragging rights of, yeah, we're better than the Series X, when Microsoft is not going to create another hardware this generation. They already said they're full on 100% working on the next console, right? Which that's supposed to be 2 or 3 times more powerful than the Series X, which is the normality in a console space. That's always been the case. So again, that bull crap has to stop. This bullshit has to stop. Stop downplaying the Series X and stop trying to upplay that the PS5 is more powerful, because it's not. Yes, it can have certain games that are older, running on older engines, that are even cross-gen running better due to the similarities in hardware with the PS4. That does not mean that it's more powerful. No. Because the clear as day, with the new games, even the S is outperforming the PS5. And it's because of that. But it's future-proof. It has that technology that is demanded and required for future titles running on next-gen engines like UE5, which is Unreal Engine 5. Okay? It's just pure comedy. And this is how it's always going to be. When they talk about, if they don't have the power, they say, oh, we got the better games, even if that's not the case. If they have the power, they'll brag about our games look better, even if the games on the Xbox has a better library and they run at a lower resolution or lower frame rate, right? It doesn't matter. They're always doing that, goalpost moving. Sony fans and the media for Sony every time. And it's Digital Foundry's fault. They love picking the bear. Like I said, Digital Foundry was founded by Eurogamer, and Eurogamer has a very distinct relationship with Sony, which I believe Sony even has some stakes in their, company. So that's why you see the favoritism all the time. Matter of fact, you saw that John Lennon say, well, the reality is that these consoles are very close in hardware for this generation, and really both consoles do very well. You really can't miss out. Even when one does better than the other, it's still very close, so they're very comparable, and that's all that matters. Trying to downplay it because he still, for the life of him, will not admit that the Xbox and the hardware for the Xbox and the way the games perform, like Flight Simulator, that's very demanding, or things like Hellblade 2 or even Forza Motorsport, completely in every way, shape, or form shatter anything that the PlayStation 5 has produced or can produce. He will not admit it. They won't. They are Sony fanboys. They will not admit it. And that's always going to be the case. They're going to be fanboys till the end. Because they are PlayStation centric. They grew up with Sony. And Sony is part of ownership of what their company is. And they're never going to throw shade at that. Because that's going to make them look bad. And they don't want that. So again, like I said, unless it's a plain exclusive for Xbox, that there's not another version on another console like Halo or something like that, they're never going to say the truth about how well or how much better or how much less better a game is on one console versus the other, especially if the Xbox has the advantage. Plain and simple. That was my thoughts on that. I just wanted to talk about it because it's driving me crazy seeing all these YouTubers trying to run with that narrative when it's a bunch of bullshit, because they're not saying the real details that was said. Everybody want to have, like, they have amnesia, only remember what they want to remember. Guys, thank you for stopping by. I hope to see you guys soon. Thumbs up if you liked the video. Thumbs down if you didn't. Share it with someone you think might like it. As always, for all of you that continue to stop by and support my channel, and always have, thank you, because without you, I would not be here, and the channel would not be here, and I would not be sustained. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. Welcome. If you decided to subscribe, like, share, comment, whatever the case may be, thank you, because I know you didn't have to. But if you did, and you wanted to continue to support, remember, you are now part of the family, the familia. You can find me on any social media platform. It's all down in the description below on all my videos. As well, if you ever want to DM me to talk, to try to have any conversation, you can also do that. If you want to make a donation, DM me so we can talk the particulars. You want to donate something to the channel so that I can highlight or review, I would be more than honored, more than humbled to do so. It would be my pleasure. If you ever want to help me directly, or the channel directly, because you like what I do, just because you like the channel and you just love what I'm doing, and you want to help me out to grow the channel or help it be better, every little bit counts, every little bit helps. You don't have to. Only if you want to, from the kindness of your heart, or if you have the means to. Yes, there's a way to do it. I have a PayPal and a Patreon information also down in the description below. Remembering that it's only if you want to, you don't have to. Only if you want to, from the kindness of your heart, like I said. This is your boy Hebot signing off. I'll see you guys real soon into the next one. Xbox for life, like a sickness. It can't be cured. That's my saying. That's my slogan, people. Don't get triggered. It's just gaming. It's all in good fun. Love you guys. I hope to see you real soon with some videos on some sales and the 360 store. Giving you some of my suggestions based on my experiences with certain games that maybe, perhaps, you didn't play. See you then, guys. Peace!